welcome to Menstrual Cups and Cloth Pads Kenya. So I've had a few requests on how to remove stubborn stains. I was just doing my wash cycle and I thought, hang on, I might as well just do a video. This cycle I was just so busy, and so when I would take them off, I would just fold them up and put them in the wet bag. I wouldn't even rinse, I would do nothing. And my cycle is pretty much over, so I thought I am going to stain treat them first before washing. Now I prefer to stain treat them just so that I don't get any surprises at the end of the laundry cycle. So what I did is, these are like the darker colors, and there's another little bowl here which I used for the lighter ones, and I just took them all out of the wet bag, put a bit of water in, and then I pop them in just with plain cold water. So I've already done all of that, and what the purpose of that is just to rinse all the dried blood off them and get most of the blood off. And I mean, water is really precious in Nairobi, so I don't like to do the rinsing under the tap thing because I just find it super wasteful. So this way works really well for me. So these I soaked overnight just because it's easy. I just chucked them in before I went to bed. I was going to work in the morning, so I changed the water. So I literally poured it out, wrung out the ones in there, and then I just put fresh water in to get any excess out. So I've done that, and I did it for 2 sets. So I separated them into darks and lights. And then once I've done that, then now there's, you know, the excess blood is gone, and now I'm just dealing with the stains. So what I do is I put some cold water in, and I add in some oxy bleach. So you can see here, it's still kind of not dissolved. And then I put in the pads. So I'm going to show you some stained pads. So if you don't want to see this, then I will post. I don't know how to do that actually. Just click forward. Skip over this bit, and we'll show some stain pads just to show the sort of before and after. So in the darks, was there anything that was really stained? Not really. I do have some blues, but nothing really particularly stained. Oh wait, yes there are. It's not the pads. Here they are. The interlabial pads. So these got quite badly stained, like this guy. Not so bad on this side, but look on this side. It's like a tie-dye effect, I think, because I did that like rolling up like a tube. So it kind of got stained in that weird little pattern. So yeah, can I fish another one out? Even this guy, you can see he's quite discolored with the staining. The light color pads really stained. Now my period came early, so I was actually wearing a liner when it came, and I wasn't able to change it or anything. The liner really held up, but it got really badly stained because it's that like beginning blood, which can sometimes be a little bit darker. So I've got this liner there, which is quite stained. And then I've got a few which are still stained there. And these white ones especially, were ones that were worn towards the end of my cycle, so when the blood is a bit darker, so hence the staining. And then I've got a minky one there, which I'm really surprised that that's stained. So I'm going to leave these to soak in the oxy bleach mix for about an hour, and then we can do some stain treating if there's any that's still hanging on to any stains. Okay, so these have been soaking for just over an hour, so I'm just going to quickly go through them and just wring them out. I know some of these were just really clean, so they don't need anything. And I'm not even going to rinse them. I'm just squeezing them out. Still stained, but better. And notice I'm not wringing them, I'm just squeezing them, which is why I can do it one-handed. Still stained also, but also better. And this little guy who was really super stained is also way better. So I'm now going to get some stain treatments out. I'll do this bucket after this. So I just want to sort out the light ones first. I have here some hydrogen peroxide, so I'm going to pour this onto the stains and let them sit for about 5-10 minutes max. Okay, so I've got the pads here, and I'm literally just going to, I'm very liberal with this. This bottle is super cheap. And it costs like, I don't know, 50p. So I literally pour it on super liberally. I'm pouring it a bit more liberally now because I can't really see what I'm doing. This one again. And usually on darker pads, you can even see it bubbling. and those three don't need anything. Okay, so I'll just go through these. That one is stained. Yep, that one is stained. And this one is stained. And that's OBV as well, so I have to be careful with OBV not to, the other one stained, not to ruin the dye. And then these little guys who are still I don't know if I can save this one. That is bad. Okay, and then I'm going to just stain treat these as well. Let's try and get some better light. Yeah, you can see is it bubbling? No, strangely enough, it is not. So I'm going to just let these sit for 5 minutes and I'll be back. Okay, I don't know how long it's been because I was tidying up and I forgot, but look at this. Look at how it's like all puffed up, like it's got air in it. And I find that this tends to happen with the ones which have, if there was like some blood in, like some blood residue. So that one, oh look at this one as well. All puffed up. Okay, so these have been sitting for a while. And to be honest, a lot, if not most, if not all, of the staining on some of them has gone. So I'm just going to chuck them back in the same water. I'm not even going to bother, like I'm just throwing them back in. Okay, so quite an improvement on many of these. Okay, and then, wow, that guy is horrible. Okay, so that's all for this bucket. Squidge them in there. Then these ones, let's come out quite nicely. Minky, I'm not worried about that. This one I was worried about because this is flannel and I know flannel tends to hold on to the stains, so that's not bad. This one is also coming out quite well. So I'm going to just leave these now to sit for another hour or so. And then if I come back and they're still stained, then I will put some stain stick on them. So I know this seems a little bit convoluted, but actually in terms of effort, it's very little. The amount of time I'm spending here is literally like 5 minutes, not even. And it's just squeeze, you know, it's really, really fast. So it does seem kind of like, who's gonna do all that? And you don't have to, if you don't care about stains, and this is really a non-starter. And to be honest, I haven't yet tried the washing machine, just washing them straight away. So I'm gonna try that maybe next cycle and see how that works. And if that's much less effort, then that's fine. But for me, this is really, I don't find it a chore. I actually really enjoy it. Okay, so I'll be back in, I don't know, an hour or so. Okay, so it's been an hour. It's actually been a little bit more because I was playing with my daughter. But we're gonna look at, okay, so much more foam, and I think that's just like a chemical reaction between the hydrogen peroxide and the oxy action. So this is much better now. Still a little bit maybe discolored, but much better. This one here, let's have a look. Okay, faded but still present. You still there? I'm surprised at that Minky, I have to be honest. Minky usually is quite stain resistant, and this one is still there, lightened, but still there. Alright, so I'm going to work on these first and then I'll come back and work on the darker ones. So what I'm going to do with these guys is I'm going to stain treat them. So I've got my stain treatments here. I've got my E-cover or E-cover, whatever it's called. I don't know why the label looks like that. I've got Bunch of Farmers, which I have to admit I don't love. And then I've got this one, which is I think my favorite, the Astonish Stain Bar. And I also use Astonish Oxy active, and I find them both work very well, and they are animal friendly, not tested on animals. So it's just a bar, so I'm just going to wet it. I'll actually just dip it in here, and then I'm going to just rub it on the stain. So it's a little hard to do one-handed, and I've had this bar for ages. This little thing has just come off the e-cover label. So I'm just going to I have to put the camera down, I can't do this with one hand. Okay, so I've literally just rubbed the stain bar in. So some of them are just much more sudsy than others. And if need be, I would just normally work this in like that with a pad, but that's not necessary. So this guy, I can still see very faintly stained. So I would just normally rub it like that. It's a bit hard to show it one-handed. And this one, I think the stain is actually mostly gone. So sometimes when I find that it's very faint, I find that it will just disappear even with like either like just in the wash or with the final soap. Like this one is it gone? I think it's gone. Okay, so that's that pile there. And then I'm going to now do these ones. Okay, so I actually lost some footage. After I stain treated the lighter colored pads, I went onto the bucket with the dark colored pads, and I rubbed the stain stick on them, and I did the kind of like the wash thing. But some of them still had some faint stains. In particular, this one, still had a stain down there, and this one still had a stain along there. So I decided to pour some hydrogen peroxide on them, and I even got the whole, like, it was fizzing and bubbling, so you could see, and actually it wasn't even really there, it was around like there was still, so clearly there was still like blood in the core. So after I did that, I let them sit for a while, and then I threw them back into the OxiClean literally for like 10 minutes or whatever it is, and I took them out, and the stains are all gone. So I am pretty much completely stain free on everything. Where's the white pad? I mean, on this one I can't even tell where the stain was, and same for this one. I mean, I remember where the stain was on this one, but it's completely stain free. So these are just going to go into the wash. I decided to just separate them with these hand dyed ones, because when I took them out of the water, I realized that the water was actually blue. You can see it there. So some color was coming out. So I decided to just separate these just in case, and I'll be washing them with a color catcher. These were actually the hardest to get the stains out. They're gone. After I put the hydrogen peroxide and I let them sit for a while, I decided to just leave them overnight in the OxiClean to get the stains out, and I can even slightly still see the stains. And then this one was actually stained on this side, and this one is completely gone. So whatever this backer is, it seems to hold the stains quite a lot. Okay, so I've got everything in wet bags and mesh bags, laundry bags, and I've got some, what are they called, color catchers in each bag. I've got just like my underwear and stuff in there as well. So I rarely do a pre-wash, so we're just going to put some detergent, just a little bit, in the main wash compartment. A tiny bit more. I can never figure it out. And then, so power setting, I do a water saving wash. I wash it at 40 today. Sometimes I wash it at 30. And I will take off the spin and add an extra rinse. And then when I come back, I'll do a drain, and then I'll do an extra rinse and spin, just to make sure that everything is, all the soap and everything is out. Good. So I'll be back in about an hour. Okay, these are in here far too long. I hope the light is good enough. Okay, so I've taken out some of the ones that were really stained. The light is not great, but let me stand here. Yeah, now that's completely stain free. This guy completely stain free. So is this. The interlabial pads. So this one is not completely stain free. It's not really showing up in the light, but there is some very like there, I think they're like very slight shadow staining, but I'm not worried. I mean, it's interlabial pads. Anything else? No, I don't think there's any that was really like stained that I needed to show. Thank you for watching.